All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another installment of our grade 7 technology lesson. My name is Mr. Alex Songo, as it's been stated on the screen there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today. We are aware that for the past couple of days, or rather last week in particular, we were on Teams, and unfortunately, that's where most of you stopped joining us. But I'm happy that some of you are still here today. I see that Kia is still here. I see that Amo is also here. Guys, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you guys always being here. You make these lessons absolutely fun. All right, so yesterday we left the lesson with an activity. Welcome Witumelo. Welcome Devonte. Haven't seen you in a while. Hey Palisa, also have not seen you in a while. Thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to interactions and of course a lot of learning with regards to technology grade 7. All right, so yesterday we had an activity at the end of the lesson, and at the end of the lesson, the activity was simply asking you to look at the examples of structures as well as decide what are their purposes as well as their classifications. And by classification, I mean, are they man-made or are they natural? Let me just revise the following so that we remember. Ladies and gentlemen, we said to span is to extend a distance. It's to move something from one place to another. To support is obviously to support a load. Most of us right now are sitting on top of chairs. I've already given you an answer for that one, unfortunately. Then we've got to protect. Ladies and gentlemen, we said to protect is to contain something. It is to enclose it inside, to protect it against danger. We made an example of a tortoise shell, and we said that's one of the uses. Then we went on to speak about containing, and we said containing is simply just about holding something inside. And my example was the example of a cup or a mug. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you remember all of those things. Again, I just want to speak about the classifications. Classifications are, where are these structures coming from? Are they man-made, which means that they are made by people like yourself and me in a workshop or a factory, or they are natural? That simply tells us that they come from nature. So that's what we had to do. So all we had to do was look at the example of the structure. After looking at the example of the structure, we decide on the purpose. After deciding on the purpose, we decide on its classification, whether or not it's man-made or natural. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the first one. I want to see if I can see some of your responses there so that I can see if you guys got that correct. Remember what I said, you are more than allowed to take screenshots of these or write down notes of the questions so that when we meet again in the next lesson, we are able to interact and we can see how people are doing. Okay, I'm just trying to access the chat box. Please bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see how you guys responded there. So again, as I've said at the end of the lesson, please make sure that you take a picture or you screenshot so that we can be able to see. Okay. Amu is saying, how come an aeroplane is natural? Okay, I think I made a mistake there. Thank you so much for that. I don't know how I missed that. That's why I'm saying having these interactions assist us so much. Devonte, thank you so much. All right, so an aeroplane, ladies and gentlemen, we all agree an aeroplane is in fact not natural, it's man-made. I made a mistake in my corrections, but it shows that you guys are alert and you guys are learning, and that is what we want. All right, so let's look at the chair. So the chair is used to support a load. As I said, we are all sitting on a chair right now. Now, a chair, is it man-made or is it natural? Ladies and gentlemen, it's man-made. We go to the bird's nest. The bird's nest is meant to protect the bird. However, it also contains the bird. What do we mean by that? When it's actually inside the bird, when the bird's nest the bed is inside the bird's nest, it is being contained by it. So it means that structure serves two purposes, and that structure is obviously a natural structure because birds are the ones that make birds nest. We have never made birds nest as human beings. We go to number C, which is a tent. What is a tent used for? Is it used to support? Ladies and gentlemen, no, it's used to contain as well as protect. When we have events at our homes or parties, we use tents in a lot of ways. We use them for the weather so that we are protected if it rains. We also use them against the sun. However, we are inside the tents, therefore the tents contain us. The tents, ladies and gentlemen, are obviously man-made. We go to aeroplanes. Aeroplanes are used to span because they are a form of transportation. They move from one place to another. They do not support. They are used to protect because if you are up in the sky, the atmosphere and the wind currents cannot reach you, so you are protected. However, because you are inside the aeroplane, you are also contained. We all agree, ladies and gentlemen, I made a mistake here. An aeroplane is in fact man-made. I apologize for that, and I'm happy that a lot of us can see this. It means that we are really learning. Thank you and well done to everybody else that saw that mistake. We then go to spiders' webs. Spiders' webs, ladies and gentlemen, are meant to span because they can move a spider from one end all the way to another. However, because the spider is on top of this, the spider's web, it is being supported. So the load of the spider is on top of the spider web as it moves from one end to another. And ladies and gentlemen, the spider web is natural. It is not man-made. Again, I made a mistake there. I hope we have noted that as well. So just two mistakes. The one with the aeroplane, an aeroplane is actually man-made. The spider web, ladies and gentlemen, it is actually natural because a spider web is made by a spider. I know a lot of us are tempted to speak about Spider-Man and whether or not the webs that come out of Spider-Man are natural or man-made. Okay. So thank you so much. Lifa, you are correct. The spider web is natural. I had noted that there was a mistake. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really, really happy with all your responses. I can see that we are all working. Okay, so I want us to look at the previous lesson's revision points. By that, what do I mean? Yesterday, we spoke extensively about a lot of things. Now, I don't want us to just pass and act as if everyone was here. Remember what I said, you can go through the African Team Geeks website and find all these lessons in PowerPoint as well as in video format. And of course, you can go to the YouTube channel and of course on our Facebook page. Ladies and gentlemen, I see we are currently sitting on 24 participants. Thank you so much for everybody that is here. So yesterday we spoke about structures. What is a structure? A structure is something that has been made, built, or put together in a particular way to support a load. So that is a structure. So a structure has been made, or built, or put together in a particular way, in a way that supports a load. That is point number one in yesterday's lesson. Point number two, natural structures. What are these? Ladies and gentlemen, the word natural gives it away. So these structures are not made by human beings. They are actually as a form or result of nature. An example of this is our own skeleton. The skeleton that we learn about in natural sciences and technology in grade 5 is a great example of a natural structure that is used, of course, to contain and support all our body parts. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope we all understand. Welcome, Sarai. Thank you so much for being here. Kiandra, I was wondering where you are. Thank you for being here. You are not too late. We have not went too far. All right, so point number 3, man-made structures. What are these? The word man-made gives it away. A man is a human being. It is a person. It's me and you and everybody else. Now, man-made structures simply means that these are made or created by human beings. These are done in either workshops or factories. Ladies and gentlemen, for an example, a bicycle. There's no bicycle that comes from nature. Someone puts a bicycle together, puts the wheels together, puts the axles together, puts everything together. So a bicycle is one of the great examples of a structure that is man-made. We then spoke about uses or importances of structures, and I said these are about why do we have that structure. So that structure, what is the purpose to have it? Amu, I will look at your question right now. Thank you so much for putting it out there. I will have a look right now. So we said to contain is to have something enclosed inside. For an example, juice that will be contained in a glass. To protect is definitely something that will protect from harm or anything that might happen. For an example, we are in our homes or our houses right now. being protected against the sun, the weather. As you can see, we are changing seasons. So that's one of the examples. To support, ladies and gentlemen, the chair that you are sitting on top of is supporting your load, or the device or laptop that you are using that you've placed on the table is a great example of a structure that is used for supporting. To span is expanding the distance, moving something from one end to another. The bicycle is an example of that. The car is an example of that, bridges and etc. Okay, so I'm just quickly looking at Amu's question. Amu is asking, why do we call man-made structures when women also create them? I like your question, Amu. I like your question very much because it speaks to how society is structured, and that's actually not a good thing in a lot of instances. But in sciences, men refers to both female and males. So if you go into the classification of life or living things, they will tell you that we've got plants and we've got men or living things. So by men, they're referring to both females and males. That's a great question. So it's just a scientific way of classification, both men as well as men in the form of boys and girls, but also men in its holistic nature, including both females and males. That's a great question. Thank you so much. Okay, Andrew, you're making lunch. I hope you are making something really, really nice. I have not had lunch yet, but luckily I have a glass of, a mug of coffee rather, right next to me. Okay, yeah, so I hope I've answered you there. So don't worry too much about the word men. It's simply a classification referring to both males and females. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful question. All right, so lesson objectives. What do we want to learn by the end of this lesson? We are looking at 3 things today, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, shell structures. Number 2, frame structures. Number 3, solid structures. So basically our lesson is solely looking at the types of structures. That's what we are doing. So let's go on to the questions that I want us to think about. Number 1, just as you are sitting wherever you are sitting, can you see a shell structure or an example of a shell structure? Anything else that you can see in your bedroom or in the study that you are at or in the living room or wherever? Can you see an example of a shell structure, ladies and gentlemen? If you do, please say. Sarai says a mug. Thank you so much. Well done, Sarai. Number 2, the question that I want us to think about, if we say something is a frame structure, what makes it a frame structure? So again, I just want to look and see if someone will respond. Who is going to beat Sarai in terms of responding there? All right, so what makes something a frame structure? That's the second question that I want to think about. I see I've not received the response yet. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us put our responses on the chat box. Sarai says it is struts. Well done, Sarai. There is another name for struts that we are going to discuss today, and that name or word is members. Struts we're going to use and speak about extensively when we investigate the frame structure that is the cell phone tower. But I like how, Sarai, you're already forward. It shows that you prepare very well. Well done and keep it up. Okay, and what is a solid structure? Usually, ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult to understand what solid structures are. I want to see if anyone has got a response again there. Will it be Sarai once more? Kiandra, I don't see you. Where are you? Say something. Let us see. Jackie says it's a tree. Well done, Jackie. Well done. I see Jackie has beat you to it, Sarai. Well done. It's a tree. Definitely. Bitumelo is also responding. Bitumelo, your answer is also very much correct. Okay, so let's continue. Let's first look at shell structures. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that we need to know about shell structures, number 1 is that they are hollow. Hollow simply means that they are empty, which means that inside them there is nothing. They are hollow, they are empty, they are just a very open space of something. That is number 1. Number 2, because they are empty, they are used to contain, to carry, or to provide a support for something which is supporting it for anything that may happen on the outside. Again, I repeat, shell structures are hollow. Hollow simply means that they are empty, and because of their emptiness, they contain something. Remember, you cannot put water inside a glass that is already full. So the glass needs to be empty, it needs to be hollow so that it can be able to contain. And carrying is, containing is obviously carrying. And if something is being carried, ladies and gentlemen, it is being given some form of protection and, of course, support from anything that can happen from outside. Some of us might have been to camping trips with our parents. Ladies and gentlemen, we're using tents. Tents are one of the great examples of shell structures because they are empty inside. As you erect it inside, there's nothing. But when you get inside, it obviously starts to contain you. It starts to protect you from anything else that might be in the surrounding areas, which might be outside. So this one is a great example of a man-made shell structure. But we also have got natural shell structures. And that, for me, a great example would be the skull, because that protects or that contains our brains as well as our eyes. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've made sense, and I hope that you understand. I see Sarai is still responding to the solid structures. We are getting there, Sarai. Thank you so much. Yes, Jakey, a pool can also be a great example of a shell structure. Thank you so much. You are absolutely correct. Amu is saying a nut shell is also a shell structure. You are correct, because it actually protects the nut that we eat that is inside. And you will realize nuts are very difficult to crack. All right, so moving on to the second type of structures, guys, we are now speaking about frame structures. What are these frame structures? Frame structures are made up of a framework of parts or members. Now, remember I said struts, as it's been said, struts are also an example of members, but we will investigate struts in more detail in our next lesson. I'm already giving it away because in the next lesson, we are looking at the cell phone tower, and that's where we speak extensively and clearly about struts. Okay, so a frame structure is a structure that is made up of a framework. A framework means it's a combination of members that are joined together to protect support for a load. Now, these members, ladies and gentlemen, are rigid. The word rigid appears a lot in natural sciences. What it simply means is that something is really, really hard. So struts need to be hard so that they can be able to support the load, and those need to be joined together. In a lot of instances, frame structures, ladies and gentlemen, have got holes in, they are not closed like you would find in a shell structure. A shell structure, you will find an opening or a hole in one or very few areas. However, in a frame structure, because of the struts, those are the members, then there is a lot of openings. However, the struts or members are very hard or they are very rigid. So I've given you two examples. One is a bridge, which is obviously man-made. The second one is a spider's web, which is obviously natural, made by the spider. I want to share with you a very interesting video that I saw, a video that actually speaks about how a spider makes its web. Beautiful video, ladies and gentlemen. I want us to pay attention to how it takes its time and how it combines the members. And remember, we said the members can also be seen as the struts as it makes that spider web. And I feel like if we have a look at that video, we will further understand how frame structures work, particularly in the natural sense. All right. So I just want to share the video. All of us. Excuse me. I am praying and hoping that the audio is not going to disappoint us today. Let us please try and listen.
Like a real-life spider woman, she sprays strands of silk in one long, continuous flow. The threads fall out like a sail and drift on air currents blowing across the water. Every few seconds, she clumps the strands together. All the threads into a single line and a 25-meter branch. Now she must reinforce her branch because her web will fail from it. But there's something else in the line at the other end. Another darling spider is trying to take advantage of her hard work. Convenience and no more than that. another 25-meter continuum. How a spider can be the full of summer, can produce so much silk, so quickly, and baffles scientists. And it's no ordinary silk. It's the toughest natural fiber on the planet, tougher than steel. And it needs to be tough to stand the weight of it. With the big strokes of the biodynamic press, it's time to
All right, guys, thank you so much. I really, really hope that that video assisted somewhat to have a look. Let me pause that one. I hope that video assisted us somewhat to understand the frame structure. So there were a few interesting things that I think we might have seen there. Now, one of the things is how strong the spider web actually is, and that speaks to what we spoke about regarding the members or the struts, that they need to be very rigid and they need to be very, very hard. So those are the things that we spoke about. And as you saw, when the spider was moving across the river, the spider's web was definitely protecting it, or rather it was holding it so that it can be able to move and span from one direction to another. All right, so we have some questions that I want to respond to. Okay, let me just have a look. Sorry about the audio again, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope that myself and Thierry are going to find a certain way to assist in terms of the audio so that we can fully all understand each other and we can know what it is that is going on. All right. Now, the spider's webs actually come from the abdomen of the spider, ladies and gentlemen. It is made up of silk. So that's where it actually comes from. I hope that assists you in understanding further. All right, so let's look at solid structures. What are solid structures? Solid structures, number one, the first thing that I want us to know is that these are not hollow or hollow. What does that mean? It means that they are not empty. That is number one. The second thing, they are not jointed. What does that mean? They are not made up of members or struts, therefore they do not have any holes. Now, they are usually made up of a single solid piece. What does it mean? It means that they are very selfish in how they are. They are not made up of a lot of materials. So if they are made up of cement, it will likely be just cement, or if it's soil, it will likely just be soil. Very, very selfish example type of structure, that one. Now, what usually happens is that that solid piece, which is only one, does not exist in any other form, will usually pile up into a particular shape. Now, a great example of a natural solid structure is going to be a mountain. So other people have already said that. I hope you can see that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, another great example of that can be bricks, which obviously form a wall so that we can be able to understand each other fully. Welcome, Amanda. I see that you're already here. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so again, I just want to play a video, but I'm looking at the time. I think we might still have a bit of time. So let's just play a video, a very nice video that speaks about how are actually mountains made. Because it's all nice and well to talk about mountains, but if we don't know how mountains are made, I feel like we have not done much justice. Okay, so let me play that video. It's simply going to try and explain how mountains are made. If the audio is bad, please let's just pay attention to the visuals. I'm really, really sorry about that. I will try to find a way with Thierry so that we can sort that out.
How do mountains form? We see them over just a moment of time, but they form over millions of years. Mountain belts extend for hundreds, even thousands of kilometers, and their structures penetrate deep into the earth, so their size and age make their formation difficult to understand. Bush geologists gently lay burnt sand mounds that mimic the formation of mountain belts, and allow scientists on this complex process.
All right, I just want to pass here and go to a certain part.
Continents collide, the crust thickens and is forced up. Note how the sand is folded and folded. The rocks and mountains. One important factor not accounted for in this model is erosion. Erosion exposes the deformed rocks that were once deeply buried in the mountain belt.
All right, so all I wanted us to understand there was how a structure that is solid, for an example, a mountain is made and how many years it actually takes. Because I know some of us might actually be wondering. So it takes a lot of years, and as we've understood, millions actually, for us to actually have a mountain. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we can speak about structures and we can all be excited about the different types of structures and why they are important and the different uses. But what we also need to be careful or mindful of is what is called structural failure. Now, I feel this is important because in the term 2 assessment in technology, you are required to do a PET activity, which is going to be the cell phone tower. Now, if we don't speak about the PET activity, that is the cell phone tower, I find that we will have some problems or some challenges. So I want us to investigate what do we mean by structural failures so that when we do the PET itself, we do not struggle. All right, so what is a structural failure? Ladies and gentlemen, remember, a structure is definitely put together in a certain way to carry a load. So that's what a structure is. So what is failure? Failure is nothing else but when something is not good or when something is not a success. So basically, in that way, I'm trying to explain what structural failure can be generally if we use the English understanding of both words. However, a structural failure in technology is defined as a structure's inability to withstand a load that is being put on it. So now, if, for example, and of course we don't want to try this, you climb on top of your little brother at the back. Now, chances are your little brother might not be able to carry you, and she might or he might actually fall because you are too heavy. So because she in that sense, she is a structure, but then she would fail to carry you. So a structural failure is when the force is more than the structure in terms of how it can handle it. Now, structural failures, ladies and gentlemen, can be or have been very disastrous in the form that they will waste a lot of money, but most importantly, structural failures, they actually injure and result in a lot of deaths. Now, of course, some of us are wanting to pursue careers as civil engineers or designers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your responsibility if you pursue a career in that to make sure that we do not experience structural failures. Remember, we once had a structural bridge failure in Sandton. That was very catastrophic, lives were lost, and of course, a lot of money was lost. So that's just one of the examples that I just want us to think about in our South African context. Okay, I see Kiandra is asking questions. Devonte, yes, the layers of mountains takes millions and millions of years to make. That's why they are so hardened. And that is why when we speak about evolution in life sciences, which is biology, we realize that you will find that skeletons become preserved inside those layers. But story for another day. Yes, you're going to build a cell phone tower, Kiandra, out of 70 marks when we go back to school. But remember, we'll be following the 7 life processes, and we are simply teaching you this so that you can understand that as you build your cell phone tower up, and remember, as you can see, I'm doing a triangular shape, so that when you build it, you are aware that you cannot put a load that might be too heavy on the struts, which might therefore result in structural failure. I want to play another video that speaks about structural failure. I see we are sitting on 25 participants. That is awesome. Thank you so much for everybody that is here. All right, so let me play the next video on structural failure. Some of it might be a bit graphic, but important.
Taiwan bridge collapse of 2019. This relatively new bridge in the Yulon County was built in 1998. But on October 1st, 2019, the bridge gave way, sending a petrol tanker into the water below. The total death count caused by this collapse is unclear, as some missing people have not yet been found, but there have been at least 6 confirmed deaths. The cause of the collapse is still being investigated, but the collapse was likely caused by heavy rains coupled with hurricanes. Number 9, the Arifuna Bridge collapse of 2003. On May 26, 2010, the Arifuna Bridge experienced a massive collapse. The bridge, which was located in Davis Falls, Oklahoma, fell into the Arkansas River at the Lava Esco Reservoir. This caused 8 passenger vehicles and 3 semi-trailers to traverse the river. Nearby fishermen were quick to respond, and attempted to pull people from the river. But even with rescue efforts, 14 people lost their lives in the collapse, and another 11 were injured. The collapse was caused by Joe Damon, who was the captain of a towboat. Suffering from abnormal heart rhythms, Damon lost consciousness and thus lost control of the barges he was towing. The barges collided with the bridge pier, causing the fire. It took 2 months to rebuild the bridge. Number 8, the Motorhead Bridge collapse. For some time before it finally collapsed on October 4th, 2018. Result, and began to show signs of tear. Commuters and local police were concerned by the cracks in the bridge, and an audit in 2016 wrote that the bridge was unsafe. Furthermore, the bridge did not receive the proper road maintenance that it required, so it was not surprising that the bridge finally gave way. The collapse injured 25 people, and 3 people died in the collapse. The collapse was preventable if the proper measures had been taken.
All right, so yes, I can see Kiandra very, very sad, and I can see that Sarai is also saying that it's very sad that people actually lost their lives. And that's why I'm saying, for those of you that I know are going to become our engineers and of course designers, you guys need to ensure that this never happens so that we do not experience this. This is very sad. I just thought, let me just play that video for you so that you can understand that structural failure is as a result of, unfortunately, poor management or planning, and of course human error. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, what are the takeaway points from today's lesson? From today's lesson, we've learned about frame structures, and we are saying that frame structures have been made by a framework connection of things that are called the struts or members that are rigid. And in a lot of instances, frame structures have what we call holes. If you can see here, this is almost taking a shape of our cell phone tower. And then we go on to shell structures. We are saying shell structures are used for what? For usually containing or for protecting something from the outside. They are hollow, which means that they are empty. A bottle, for example, wherein we put our cold drinks, a shell egg, and of course a tortoise shell, as well as a car. All these are great examples of shell structures. I hope you guys understand all of that. Okay. Oh, Joanna. Okay, sorry about that. I just see it written Sarai here. All right, let me apologize, Joanna. Sorry about that. Yes, Mahlati, definitely, and a cup. Then we go on to solid structures. Then we are saying solid structures are usually made up of one type of material, like a mountain that is made up of soil over a long period of years, like a cement brick that we can see here that makes a wall, ladies and gentlemen, and of course trees. All of these are great examples of solid structures. Now, as per norm, this is the activity that I'm asking that we do. Ladies and gentlemen, please study the table of the structure examples that are given here. Now, then you need to decide from the shoe, the couch, the gate, and the bird's nest, as well as the honeycomb, if they are either shell, frame, or solid type structures, then you tell us if they are man-made or they are natural structures. So I'm just going to leave that for a couple of minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please take this down. Remember, tomorrow we are not having a lesson because it is actually a public holiday. Interestingly enough, it's Workers' Day, but very few people are working. It's a great irony, I must say. But of course, we've been working because we have been learning and studying throughout this entire period. All right, so just please take that down, take a picture, take notes, do something so that you can be able to do that activity. Okay. Yes, 10 minutes left. Thank you so much, Thiari, for that. So we still have a bit of time. Yes, Mahlati, a cup is also a great example of a shell structure. All right. I hope since you're all saying bye, sir, and waving goodbye, you have taken down all the notes of today and also the activity that needs to be done so that we can be able to obviously have a look at this when we meet again. Okay, so I'm leaving it there again for a couple of seconds for all of us. All right. Now let's move on to another slide. These are our links for all these lessons and of course the videos. Remember what I said, www.ukuqonda.org.za is a great website. It has actually got the entire booklet, which is sponsored by Sasol, which is one of our great sponsors in relation to the STEM East School. So if you get yourself that copy, you will simply click on this. Remember I said you can access these lessons on PDF or format on the website. So if you click on this, it will take you right there. Then you download that PDF and then it will assist you because this is what I use amongst other sources to create these lessons. And of course the videos, as I've stated, ladies and gentlemen. So what are we doing in our next lesson? We are still focusing on term 2. We are looking at structures. That is the strand of technology grade 7 that we're looking at. And we are investigating the frame structure. That is the cell phone tower. Because we don't want to say, go and make a cell phone tower when we have not actually taught you or told you what a cell phone tower is. So that's what we are doing. Please make sure that you are here and excited because this is going to assist you and it's going to help you. Bye, everyone. Lifa, unfortunately, we are not attending classes on weekends. That is the unfortunate reality. So yeah. Thank you so much, Livuyo. Bye to you too, and yourself as well, Devonte. Have yourselves a great day. Ladies and gentlemen, my name on Facebook is Shanti Songo. You can find us at African Team Geeks on all the social media platforms, as well as on YouTube for recorded lessons that we are doing. Of course, at iZora, at DBE_SA, and of course at Sasol SA, which I spoke about, is one of our sponsors. And remember to always hashtag the Sasol Foundation, hashtag STEM Champions, and of course, Lockdown is School, so that we can all be able to find and communicate with each other further. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great lesson. I really hope you learned something here today. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Enjoy English, take care and those around you, and of course, enjoy the long weekend that is coming. Goodbye.